When you're starting your real estate investing business, you might already have other debts in your personal finances, and it's important to analyze these debts ahead of time and how they might affect your real estate investing, so you can take steps ahead of time to prepare before you attempt to buy your first property. Existing debts will be viewed by your lender when you go to apply for financing. They will count these debts against your debt-to-income ratio, which is a percentage score that they use to qualify you for a loan and determine how much of a loan you can be approved for in the pre-qualification stage. Therefore, it might be beneficial to use your real estate investing business to pay off your other debts so you can qualify for larger real estate investment loans in the future to give you even more financing flexibility. So, as I get rental income coming in every month, for example, I could use some of that rental income to help pay off maybe a car loan or pay off a mortgage on another property I have, so that over time I can eventually pay that debt off, get rid of that debt, and now I'll be able to qualify for more debt in the future when I try to buy my next real estate investment property. Having access to more capital can help you grow faster and build wealth. If the bank won't allow you to qualify for any more debt because you're already maxed out on your debt-to-income ratio due to existing debt you already had, like credit card debt or student loans, then you're going to be limited in terms of bank financing, so you're going to need to seek other creative financing methods and solutions, which we're going to discuss in a whole nother video about how to finance properties creatively when you can't qualify for bank financing. But again, the goal here is that over time you get these other debts paid off so that you can open up bank financing as another option and increase flexibility in your real estate business. So that's what the goal of this video is, giving you tips on how you can pay down debt quicker. So here are 9 steps you can take ahead of time to start paying off your debt, whether it be student loans, car loans, personal loans, credit card debt, or any other small debts that could be eliminated to reduce your monthly debt service payments and improve your debt-to-income ratio. So tip number 1, rein in the spending. Watch what you are spending your money on each month. If you need to write down a list of all your expenses and start tracking it every month so that you can actually understand how much you're truly spending, then this is probably a good step to take, because a lot of us just spend recklessly. We don't actually know how much we spend each month unless we begin tracking it. If you want to pay off debt quicker, you're going to need to learn how to cut out unnecessary expenses. We call these non-essential expenses. So we're only keeping the actual essential expenses like our rent payment, maybe our car loan payment, if we've got gas that we need to spend on to get to work. These are the essential expenses to make sure we're getting to work and we're getting back home and we're getting paid our paychecks each month and we're able to live in our home that we're currently living in. But all the excess, all the fluff, the non-essential expenses, these are the first things you need to start trimming and cutting out of your budget so that you can use this extra money that you're saving from not spending on these expenses anymore to pay down your debt quicker. Now, this phase should only be short term. Once you are out of debt, then you can slowly restart the discretionary spending while following good financial habits. So the idea is to kind of get back to the bare bones cost of living for a few months to get that extra cash freed up to pay your debt off. And then you can start working back in some of those extra expenses again, like going out to eat. You might want to not go out to eat for a few months until you make sure your debt's paid off. So the idea is to create additional cash flow for a specific period by cutting down expenses to only your essential expenses you must pay for. All right, number 2, change your routine if you need to. Everyone has their temptations. These are specific things or places that make us spend more money. For some, it could be shopping at a mall, while for others, it could be eating at a restaurant. Whatever gets you to pull out the credit card and splurge needs to be avoided at least temporarily. Change your driving route if that's what's triggering you to want to stop off at the mall and spend money, or if you're passing by certain restaurants that you like to stop and grab food at. So maybe you need to change the direction, the route you're taking, driving around to try to avoid these spending triggers. Build up habits of visiting the grocery store every week instead so that you can purchase groceries and help cut down on your food bill and not eat out anymore for the time being. Making sure you have a fully stocked fridge will help take temptations away from wanting to go eat out. I know in my case, when my fridge starts getting empty, it's really easy to just want to run and grab food out rather than going to the store and buying more groceries to eat. But when I have a fully stocked fridge, then I'm more tempted to stay home and just cook up what I have in my fridge and in my freezer, and this helps me stay on track of saving money, not eating out all the time. Tip number 3, your bonus money should go towards your debt. So if you got a raise lately at work, for example, maybe you get an annual raise every year at the end of the year, instead of treating this bonus money as money to go spend on something nice for yourself, look at it as an opportunity to pay down a good chunk of your debt. Now, bonus money isn't always just bonus from your work. It could be something like an inheritance you received recently, if somebody passed away in your family and left you an inheritance, or maybe somebody gave you gifts for your birthday and now you've got all this extra cash when people sent you a bunch of money, for your birthday. These are other types of bonuses. So anything you would consider bonus money that's more than the traditional money you would normally get, this should be what you consider to pay down your debt with. Tip number 4, get rid of the flab. Let's be honest. We all have lots of extra stuff that we don't really need and we could live without. Things that are just piling up in our basements of our homes, things piling up in the garage, things that we're paying for storage to keep in self-storage unit lockers. I mean, there's lots of stuff out there that if you go through your home that you could probably make a list of that you really don't need. So these are opportunities to turn these excess unusable items that we don't really need anymore into extra cash. And then once you sell these items, use that cash to pay down your debt. A few places you can sell items include Facebook Marketplace. This is a great one for getting things sold locally. There's also Craigslist, which is a little more old school way of selling things, but between Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, if you post your items on these platforms, you're probably going to get someone interested and you can meet up with them and get these items sold and turned into extra cash. All right, the next thing we want to purge in a time of raising extra cash to pay down debt would be different subscription services. So make a list of every single service that you're subscribed to that has a monthly or annual subscription fee attached to it. This could be things like Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Peacock. I mean, there's so many different platforms right now coming out with subscription model services, and it's tempted for just $4 or $5 a month to subscribe to these because it doesn't seem like a lot of money. But when you add up the fact that many households already have cable on top of Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, all of a sudden they start having all these extra monthly subscriptions that add up to quite a bit of money. So go through all these subscriptions, decide which ones you can purge, which ones are absolutely not necessary to live with, things that you can live without for a time being. You can always resubscribe in the future once you get back to a strong financial position. But for right now, our focus is getting our debt paid down so that we can get into a better spot financially. And then in the future, we'll take advantage of these entertainment services again. So don't feel bad about canceling them. It's just temporary for the time being. So figure out on your list what you can do without. Start cutting out these subscriptions, trimming the fat, and you'll find some extra cash each month that you can start applying towards debt payment instead of these subscriptions. All right, so far we've mainly been talking about ways to reduce debt by cutting expenses. But you can also do it from the other end of the spectrum, which is increasing your income. So finding a part-time side gig, maybe you become a freelancer online, like on a website like Upwork, where you start doing different freelance jobs and getting paid for it. Maybe you go find a part-time job at a local store in the evenings or on the weekends. Doing these little part-time side gigs can help earn a few extra $100 a week, and this can help get you out of debt quicker. These extra $100 that you're earning here and there from these different gigs can actually go towards paying off small debts, getting those small debts paid off completely, and you can start building some momentum. So this is known as the debt snowball. The debt snowball method is all about creating momentum. To do so, you pay only the minimum amounts on your larger debts while using the excess cash saved to completely pay off the smaller debts first. So for example, if you had 3 different debts you're trying to pay off, maybe you had $5,000, $10,000, and $20,000. Well, on the $10,000 and $20,000 debts, you're only going to pay the monthly minimum that you're required to pay on those debts, and you're going to use all that excess cash you have to try to pay down the original $5,000 of debt that's your smallest debt you currently have. Once that $5,000 gets paid off, you're going to move on to the next smallest debt, which in this case would be the $10,000 debt, and you're going to start applying all that excess cash to pay down that $10,000 of debt while still making the minimum payment on your $20,000 debt each month so you don't default on that debt. So again, it's the snowball method is just about building momentum, starting with the smallest debt first, paying it off, then moving to the next smallest, then the next smallest, until you get all your debts paid off. All right, my next tip for you is try to negotiate lower rates. If you're currently paying certain amounts of money each month to different service providers and you're able to negotiate a lower rate with them, this can free up some extra cash that you can start applying towards your debt down payment. So, for example, start off by calling a credit card company. Ask them if they could lower your interest rate. You might think that this won't work, but it's quite common to call and negotiate the rates. Besides, you have nothing to lose considering the fact that if you do call them and they say no, well, then you're still just going to keep paying the same rate you would have been paying anyways. But if you have a positive track record and you've been making your payments on time each month, then you have a pretty good chance that they will say yes and they'll actually lower your interest rates. And when you have less interest being charged each month on your debt balance, this is going to help you get ahead quicker because you're going to free up more money to pay off debt since you don't have to pay as much towards these higher interest rates. You can try the same technique with cable companies, internet companies, and landlords for your rent. Cite the different rates you see competitors are offering and try to get them to lower your bills to match competitor rates. Our next tip is to utilize a balance transfer. If your credit card company isn't budging on the rates, consider doing a balance transfer to another credit card company. The new credit card company may be willing to offer you a 0% APR interest rate for the first 12 months or 16 months, depending on what their trial period is. In order to get this 0% APR rate, they may ask you to pay an initial balance transfer fee, which could be a small percentage, like a 3 or 4% percentage of your current debt balance. But once you pay that fee, then you're going to have this debt transferred over to this new credit card company and you're going to have 0% interest on it. So for the next 12 months, you don't have to worry about being charged extra money towards interest. So you can consider that money saved and money that could be applied towards paying off your debt quicker. Our next tip is to prepay your debt. So every month you have a minimum payment that you're required to pay on your debt. This is known as your debt payment. Now, if you're in a fortunate situation where you make enough money to be able to afford paying extra towards these payments instead of paying the minimum, this is going to help you pay down that debt balance quicker and it's going to help save you interest each month. So it's going to be money saved. For example, we see this a lot of times with mortgages. When you buy a house to live in, you've got a 30-year mortgage. The bank expects you're going to take 30 years to pay that mortgage off. However, every month, if you have enough cash flow coming in, you might find yourself in a situation where you can make double mortgage payments, or you can pay your mortgage payment and then put an extra 50 or 100 or 200 bucks towards the mortgage. So over time, doing this repeatedly, you're going to slowly start paying that balance down quicker and quicker, and it's going to help you get the entire balance paid off sooner than 30 years. So your mortgage might take 20 years to pay off or 15 years to pay off by applying extra each month towards the principal pay down. And in the meantime, you're also saving on interest because each month this extra money is going towards principal. So that's cutting your loan balance down. So the next month when it gets multiplied by whatever interest rate you have, you're now going to get charged a lower amount of interest because you've got a lower debt balance compared to the month before. So you're going to get ahead in that regard as well. All right, so overall, these are several different tips you can utilize to try to get yourself out of debt quicker, get debts paid off, save money by not paying so much money to interest payments, and this is going to allow you to free up cash flow to apply towards your real estate investing business, as well as help you qualify for bank financing to be able to purchase investment properties that are going to help you make more money. So we consider real estate investing debt as good debt because it allows you to make more money as opposed to credit card debt, which just costs you more money and drains you financially.